Do the Chicago Bears have the best wide receiver core in the NFL now? Thank you so much for tuning into this video and coming back to the show Blitz with Blender. I am Josh Blender and I make football videos, college football, NFL, and we had the NFL draft very recently. That was a fun part of the year where we could break down the intersection between the two, the NFL and college football colliding, where someone that's a huge college football fan is able to provide insight to the NFL fans that are following predominantly the NFL, but not so much college football. Maybe they tune into the big games, the primetime stuff, or the playoff, but not so much to the sport. That's why it was a heck of a lot of fun. And I got to tell you, to start off, you might be looking at the Bear stuff in the background, but if you watch my content in other videos, you'll come to the conclusion that yes, I do talk about the Chicago Bears, but the idea is to be as impartial and look at the facts of what things are and give opinions based off of the way truly we see it. And the fact that the Bears are rivals with Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota makes me be a little bit more, honestly, respectful toward those teams because we're watching those teams and get to see how good their play is. But this is not just about the NFC North. This is about the entire NFL. That's what I said in the beginning of the video. Do the Bears have the best wide receiver core in the NFL? They do not have likely a top 8, top 10 wide receiver duo in the NFL. But that's not what a wide receiver core is. Wide receiving core, I think that you could lock it in right now. Absolutely. You talk about your 3 wide receivers and your first tight end. Who is going to argue that? Okay? You can start off with teams like the Detroit Lions, and they're going to say, hey, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta, or you might fly it over to the Bengals. Like, we don't even need a tight end. What are you talking about? T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. The Eagles, Goddard, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Do we need to have a third guy a part of what we have? What about the Minnesota Vikings? They're joining that conversation. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson. But I think you're starting to get to see the main predominant point here. Those teams are 3 deep with their receiving core, not receiver core. Look, the beginning of last year, there was a huge mistake that people made. It was thinking that Rome Odunze would continue that production he had in college and come out doing that as a rookie. People made the same mistake thinking about Marvin Harrison Jr. He ends up having, 7 touchdowns, 900 yards, and people are upset about it. People were expecting Rome to have this huge type of year, and that was coming off the back of Keenan Allen being signed. People were thinking, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore after Keenan Allen had that career year. But it's been noted that Keenan's strength was never speed. It was never his ability to blow by it. It was he was going to route you the heck up and put you in a blender. And that is not so much what he did. He had a lot of drops last season. People were expecting that to be the best receiver core in the National Football League. Immediately can see that Rome Odunze is going to be a better football player next year. Luther Burden is a step up over Keenan Allen. Maybe the polish obviously isn't there, but we talk about the ability to separate, to get open vertically. He's just going to make that receiving core or receiver core, whichever, more dangerous because he is going to stretch every level of the defense. That is the threat that the Chicago Bears offense was missing last year. This video isn't all about the Bears. We're going to break down and look at teams like, let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. Right, for years, they had Tyler Eifert and A.J. Brown being able to stretch the second and third level of defenses, putting them in conflict. Talk about the Green Bay Packers. Remember, like Jermichael Finley with those teams, Greg Jennings, Donald Driver, Devontae Adams. Like, they could hit the flat and weren't going to run the ball a whole lot. They were going to run as an extension to open up the passing game with what we had seen from them with Aaron Jones. It was stretch it down the field when they had Devontae Adams and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, the deep shot, intermediates, the easy stuff. We're going to Devontae 9-10 times a football game all day of the week. A player like Tyreek Hill with the Kansas City Chiefs, every single level is covered with any route that he runs, and then Travis Kelce being able to roam through the middle of the defense. They were only needing to be 2 full deep with what their team was, because they had Spagnuolo and had a terrific defense. How about those old New England Patriots team? Now, this one is fascinating because they never really had like that burner type of guy. We know the affinity for later round picks for Belichick, but it was Brady. Brady didn't have the biggest arm, wasn't the most athletic, but they were going to play great defense. They weren't going to turn it over, and they were going to march methodically down the field. Go back and watch the film from Brady's loss with New England against the Tennessee Titans and watch that first drive and what they did to start it off. You remember Brady's playoff games, they were methodical drives down the field. Think about Drew Brees and the success he had with Michael Thomas. I'd even go back to Colston, go back to Reggie Bush, helping them out and being able to layer throws. They had Brandon Cooks one time or another a while back, and it was methodically marching down the field. How about we think about one of the best offenses really in recent memory, the Los Angeles Rams in 2018, as well as when they won the Super Bowl. All right, but Cooper Kupp was the main wide receiver threat on that team, right? I think Robert Woods was there, Odell Beckham Jr. played good defense, Aaron Donald, and then go back to the Super Bowl year where they had Cooks as well as a much younger Cooper Kupp. They didn't have to have any of these teams what the Chicago Bears do now have. We have not seen a team, you could say maybe, all right, the Houston Texans last year, like Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, my goodness, what is this team going to look like? Like the Houston Texans. If that team does not have the number one wide receiver core, then what is? Even throw in Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell. We ended up seeing Dell unfortunately get hurt and Stephon Diggs. So you could come up with that argument of those three. They end up deciding to take 2 players in the NFL draft out of Iowa State. They go with Jaden Higgins, right, the second round, pick 34, 6'4", 215 pounds, and then they went with Jalen Noel, right, third rounder, so second and third. They use their space on that, so they're trying to build around C.J. Stroud. But Christian Kirk, Nico Collins, Higgins, Noel, Tank Dell, or Luther Burden, Rome Odunze, and DJ Moore. Think on that. Okay. Either agree or disagree. Let me know in the comments immediately right now why I am wrong. Why this is not going to be the best wide receiver core. We already talked about, I gave you the reasons why this is going to be the best receiving core overall. You add in the elements of the tight ends involved with it. They are 5 deep. Cole Kmet added in, as well as Colston Loveland. You factor in an improved offensive line, which isn't the premise of this video, or you factor in the scheming of the head coach, and you really start to formulate what is this opinion. And the Bear stuff in the background might have you thinking and never going to see me give a team like Green Bay credit. I gave Green Bay their credit. I love that pick of Matthew Golden for them. Jaden Reed, second rounder. Christian Watson, a second rounder. Like, that competes with Chicago, but Odunze, 9th overall. DJ Moore, taken in the 20s by Carolina, a first rounder, and then a top 10 second round pick. No team in the NFL has invested this much deep, extensive capital into that room. It's not like we're coming up with this crazy take. Wide receiver, you go with talent and availability. You don't take Luther Burden when there's guys like Xavier Watts or Will Johnson and Mike Green on the board, unless you think he's a better player and he's going to help your offense and Caleb Williams more so than they are going to. Had a lot of fun talking about this and going over it. Please give me your reasoning why they aren't going to have the best receiving core in the National Football League. Again, it's not the top duo anymore. This is about the core as a whole, and can confidently say it will be the Chicago Bears for the next couple of years with that young depth that they have for, my goodness, DJ Moore's under contract 2029. I think Odunze 5, 6, 7, 8. It's like through 2028, Burden through 2029, and obviously Loveland. Like, they are set and young at that spot. Thank you so much again for watching. Appreciate you so much for tuning in. If you have not yet, make sure to subscribe. We love coming out with college football and NFL content. A whole lot more of that is coming out as we chug through the NFL offseason here. and we will see you next time. Thank you.